Hello, hello, hello. Johnny Birch here, johnnybirch.com, reminding you of your greatness, motivational speaker, personality-based coach. Today we're going to be talking about a new program in this wonderful month of love around Valentine's Day. Relationships, the breakdown before the breakup. Have you ever been in a relationship that you thought was going to fail, that you were able to revive, or maybe it did fail and you're not quite sure why? We're going to talk about some of those things that break down relationships. The topic for today is stress, relationship stress. What causes relationship stress for you? Some of the top ones in the research that I've done, some of the top things are top four I like to call. Financial seems to be number one when people are surveyed that causes people stress in their relationships, dealing with finances. Number two is a breakdown in communication causes stress. The third is the sex or intimacy realm tends to break down. And lastly, that feeling of being loved goes away. Or as the famous song in Top Gun says, you've lost that loving feeling. So I want to help you recognize some of these stressors, and from the personality aspect in which I coach from, recognize what causes each personality temperament stress. So we know that finances can stress us out, and that is the number one cause of relationship stress. So what do people look for when it comes to finances? Each of our personality temperaments, and if you want to take the personality assessment, just reach out to me at johnnybirch.com or hit me up through Twitter. The website's being rebuilt right now, reformatted to our new servers for the personality assessment. But this month, we're going to be offering a great program, a great special around this concept of the breakdown before the breakup and revitalizing your relationship and giving it that passion back, returning that intimacy and recommitting overall. So you can reach out to me if you want to take the personality assessment and get the insight that comes with that. But for me, when I think about stress in relationships in my own experience, when I think about stress overall, stress is nothing more than our expectations not being met when we look at it through the lens of relationships. So we're with this significant other, we love this significant other, but they're just not behaving the way that we expect them to. They're not meeting our needs, perhaps. Tony Robbins has a great quote that says, if you do what you did at the beginning of the relationship, throughout the relationship, there won't be an end. So if we do what we do at the beginning of the relationship, how do we behave at the beginning of our relationships? We're in bliss, right? We've met this person. We're all in love with them. We think that they complete us in some of the cliches that we use, but we feel loved. We feel as if this person contributes to our life and that we can grow with this person. Generally, that's best if it starts as a friendship. You build on the friendship, and one day you just kind of look at the person and go, wow, I really like you. I'd like to stick around for a while. So when our expectations aren't being met by that person, we find stress. When the communication breaks down, when the sexual behaviors, sexual interactions, or the intimacy fades, breaks down, or life starts to get in the way. As the relationship goes on through the years, if you're married or have children, those type of things can get in the way of the time. They take priority over the time that may not have been a problem in the beginning. So one of the things I recommend for people is always remember to go back to the passion of what you did and what that person, what caught your eye for that person. What was the passion there? What was that commonality that that brought you two together? Do you still do that? That's a huge factor in evading or avoiding stress. So let's dive into real quick of each of the personality temperaments, touch on a couple things that cause these temperament stress. So real quick recap on the personality temperaments are from Nathan Bryce's Personality Instrument. And in this particular system, we look at personality as a spectrum. And in that, it's greens, oranges, golds, and blues. So that's the identification of the traits, the category of traits of each temperament. So the greens, the things that stress out greens, and let me recap on the green is an analytical, they're the database, the knowledge-based person, very mind-driven, not very heart-driven, as their polar opposite, the blue, which is the very emotional or heart-driven person. And then you have the orange, which is the kinesthetic, the mover, the shaker, the adventurer. Their buzzwords, freedom. They're action-orientated type of individuals. And lastly, there's the gold. They make up the largest group in our population. And these are our structured people, our organizers, our lawmakers. These are the folks that bring us our school system and maintain law and order and prevent the chaos of society from happening. So understanding that each of those traits have stressors, things that stress them out, particularly to their temperament. Starting with the greens, I think the largest factor when it comes to greens is incompetence. Incompetence really irritates the green personality temperament. And I think the second one for them would probably be, and especially in relationships, a lack of private time or private space, the ability to kind of just have the me time factor in their relationship where they can slip away and do their analysis. They can kind of process everything that's happening in their life, that's happening in their relationship. If they don't have that particular aspect, especially when it comes to communication, they are not a talk about it now generally, especially if it's emotional. It's a little bit tougher for them to convey into words those emotions. So, because they don't really relate to the emotion, they want to think about things logically. So if you want them to communicate on an emotional level, it's most of the time is stressful to them. Skipping over to their polar opposites, the blues, these are emotional folks. The thing that really gets the blue is really, one is being labeled, being like very kind of put in a box type of behavior. The key stressor for them, however, is probably more in tune with anything that seems violent, anything that seems heightened emotion in a very aggressive way. They're generally very peaceful, very appeasing people. So anything that's insincere, anything that's relates to lying or cheating is going to cause them stress. Limiting their communication is going to be a huge factor. They're probably going to be the one that feels like the loving feeling's been lost if they don't feel the sense of romance in the relationship, and that'll cause them stress. So moving over to the orange, again, I said orange is about freedom. So in a relationship, they love variety. They love the sense of freedom. So not having that freedom, rules, regulations, policies really cause stress for the orange temperament when it comes to relationships. So any type of indecisiveness, deadlines, timeframes, and those expectations in the realm of communication, they want that freedom to communicate however they want. They're likely to be more animated in their communication. And possibly more assertive or aggressive toward the way that they express themselves. So moving over to the golds, again, is the structured individual, the organizer, the planner. So obviously the thing that's going to cause them the most stress is a lack of planning. Any type of chaos, disobedience type of behavior, being lazy, being a procrastinator will cause them a huge amount of stress. Another thing is for the gold personality temperament is not feeling as if they belong. If they feel, again, if they've lost that loving feeling or have a sense that the relationship is failing, They view relationships as something that is traditional and long-term. So it's important to recognize these personality temperaments and how your partner and you fit into this spectrum, what's your primary. Because through that, we can easily avoid or at least reduce our stress. So I want to thank you very much for joining me today. If you have any questions, reach out to me at johnaburch.com, and I will be happy to give you as much information as you're seeking, help you with relationships, and to inform you about this awesome course we have coming up very soon, The Breakdown Before the Breakup, Know Thyself in Love Through the Personality Temperaments. Thank you. Have a great day.